Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Zoom Into Wine. It's time for the show and your host, Ian Blackburn.
So we've got a really nice audience here tonight. I'm really excited to be able to taste wine with Vince Ferragamo. He's a great man in many respects. Vince, how's life for you right now?
Everything's going good, Ian. Just today, actually working in the vineyard.
All right.
Ready to drip the grapes, get ready for a little hematocloprid and get them ready. They're all done prunes. They're all pruned and looking pretty good. So
awesome. I was going to play a highlight, and then I looked down and saw it was actually by ESPN talking about the great vintage of 1979, and they showed you in your cellar.
Until you start talking about that.
No. Hey guys, I can hear you right now. So why don't I'm going to mute everybody that's not Vince Ferragamo for just a minute. All right, very good. So the ESPN special was talking about your wine business down in Newport. How many acres do you have down there?
we have 1 acre, Ian, and we grow on just about a quarter acre. We have a really small, boutique wine, I think you would say. It's about maybe 600-700 bottles, that's it, each year. And so I name it after my 3 daughters. I have Cara, Vanessa, and Jenna, so we call it Caressa J. So we're real proud of the wine. It does really well. And, you know, it's 80% Sangiovese, 20% Cabernet. So we try to pattern it after the Tignanello, but it's nothing like Tignanello. But you know, we enjoy it.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I'm really pleased to be able to do this with you. We've been judging at the LA County Fair when that was a thing.
Right.
The last couple of opportunities, and just a super nice man. Thank you for joining us, and I want to bring in the rest of the audience here and let them say hi, and I'm going to remove my virtual background so I don't look too pixelated, but we will welcome everybody here and thank everybody for joining us. We got people from all different parts of California, north and south. Not sure if my brother's on the Zoom tonight yet or not, but he should be joining.
How many people do you have on, Ian? Can you tell how many?
Well, right now it says 27, but we should have close to 40 by the time, or maybe a few people will watch this a little bit later. But we've got some Brunello in the glass. And Vince, I know you're involved in a lot of things. I heard you were studying medicine, in fact.
Yes.
Yeah. Did you finish that?
No, I went to Creighton Medical School when I first was drafted by the Rams. And of course, during the fall season, I played football my rookie year. And then in the winter quarter, I went back to school and attended 1 year at Creighton Medical School. And the second year I attempted to go back again. So I completed my second year. And after that, you know, Ian, I just felt it wasn't, I needed to be at one full time. So it was either football full time or it was going to be medical school full time. And so I chose to stay in the football arena and ended up playing 10 years, never went back to medical school. My oldest daughter, though, had aspirations to becoming a doctor, and she's a pediatrician at St. Joseph. So she kind of followed a little bit in my footsteps. But I had 3 daughters, after retiring from football, and Southern California was always my home. So I was able to come back and obviously play for the Rams, which was great. And, but now, you know, I'm just involved in the real estate industry. I do real estate sales. I've been doing that for 30 years. And so, and I dabble in the wine business. So the wine's a lot of fun. And I've got my daughter with me tonight, Cara, who's very knowledgeable with wines, and she's gonna test as well as I am tonight. So we're gonna try these. You sent 4 samples. Is that correct, Ian?
You know, I sent you that sleeve. I'm hoping you're using the sleeve. There's 4 numbers.
They have numbers on it, right? There's 4 samples. Okay.
And those of you that got bottles, what I'm recommending is you pour all 4. And And then so those
Should
with
we
bottles,
pour
they
it?
know
Should we
what
pour
they
it in
are.
the glass?
Yeah. And pour
let's
the
pour it.
4 numbers into the glasses, and then those of us with the vials will taste blind, not knowing which one they're in. And those of you with bottles, you pour, and you don't know which one we're tasting, but we're going to describe them, look at them, and you try to guess which one is which. We'll just have a little fun doing it blind and being able to taste with Vince. And how many of you guys ever saw a Rams game with Vince Ferragamo? Awesome. Yeah, I grew up in Orange County, went to Marina High School, and actually, boy, I was probably 9th grade my first time I saw Vince at a football game, and I had a Vince Ferragamo jersey, so it was a big deal for me.
See the bottles back there. Can you see the glasses back there, Ian?
I can almost see them. Yes, I have a hard time seeing anything that's teeny anymore. Let's put on the readers, but that is they look like they're back there.
They're back there. Okay.
Yeah, so we have a really interesting category. How many of you have ever been to what is known as Montalcino? Awesome. Kay and Gary, did you guys go with me or did you guys go on your own? I'm trying to remember. I see you both. With me? You went with me, right? Yeah. All right. Cool. Kay and Gary have traveled all over the world with me, so I can't remember where we went and didn't go. But we've been to Australia, we've been to Greece, we went to different parts. Did we go to France? I'm not sure. But we haven't been to France yet. I don't think so. But I had a really amazing experience with my brother. We went to Brunello, we went to Montalcino years ago together for the first time. And in fact, we had an appointment with Miss Nardi because I represented the brand to Silvio Nardi for a while. And it was like pouring rain. And there were really no signs anywhere telling us where to go, left or right. It was 2000, maybe it was 1999 to 2000, somewhere in there. And the phone GPS thing was not a thing yet. The car didn't have GPS. I think I had a triptych, and we just couldn't find a turn left or right anywhere. And we kept calling her, and we kept trying to figure it out. We called it the Curse of Montalcino because every time we think we found a new path, it would circle back around and we'd end up right in the same spot every single time, right in the town of Montalcino. So that we finally did find her, but I think we were like two hours late, and we were running right on time. But that was pretty embarrassing. But this is a really fantastic wine region, and I've got a little Zoom presentation to just show us for a second there. And of course, our guest tonight is Vince Ferragamo, number 15, Rams quarterback. And as Vince said, he makes a little wine down in Newport Beach at his property. And Vince, how do people buy your wine? Can they go onto your website?
Yeah, we have a wine club membership that people can belong to, and or you can just go on the website. It's Vince Ferragamo Vineyards with the plural with an s.com, and all of our wines are listed there. This wine that you see in the picture is our signature wine. That's the Caressa J. That's the Super Tuscan that we started out with, and that's the wine that was been in competition at the LA International Food and Wine Competition for a number of years, and we're kind of proud that we got some high awards with our wine. So it's been very good and very fulfilling, especially when you get the whole family involved.
Yeah,
so
that's awesome. Well, I have had the pleasure of trying at least a vintage. So Clarissa, pleasure to meet you. Is she back there? Is she coming on camera to say hi? Vince, is your daughter going to come on and say hi?
Yeah, she's here. Say hi, Kara. Come on, pull in. Can you see Kara? Get over.
Hi.
There she
Hi.
is. There she is.
Pleasure to meet you. Thank you.
Yeah.
You too.
Well, we're going to have some fun. We're going to taste some wines blind, and we're going to taste them from the town of Montalcino. Just basically south of Chianti in Tuscany. And Montalcino has got the same grape, Sangiovese, but it grows a little differently here. The species is known as Sangiovese grosso, and it grows on these volcanic soils that are a little bit more difficult and create a little more stress for the grapevines, create a little thicker skin to the actual species of the Sangiovese, and you get a little ending result different with the winemaking style. There's also some aging requirements in Montalcino, that the wine be 5 years old before it's released to be called Brunello di Montalcino. Tonight we're going to try a wine of the region that is not a Brunello as one of our 4 wines, just kind of a super Brunello, a little blend with some non-traditional grape varieties. But we'll also try 3 different vintages, in fact, from very good producers of Brunello di Montalcino. So one of the wines that we're going to try tonight is from Argiano. Argiano is a very good producer, but they make a little super Brunello or Montalcino wine, kind of a super not a Brunello, super Montalcino, sorry. And it is Cabernet Merlot and Sangiovese as part of the blend. It's meant to create a little bit of a value. It's kind of falls into that Tuscan category, but a really nice little wine, and known as a Rosso, not quite a Montalcino Rosso or Rosso di Montalcino, because it is not pure Sangiovese. So they play around with the name just a little bit. And now I'm going backwards. All right, let's go forward. So here's a look at the Argiano Estate. That looks like your place, Vince.
Yeah. Not quite, Ian. that is the most beautiful site right there.
Oh yeah, come on.
I can't say I've ever been to Montalcino, but we've been to Siena, we've been to Florence, obviously, and driven through Greve and the Panzano. We went to the Fonterotoli. We've been to a few of the wineries, but I just didn't have enough time in our plans the last time we were there to go to Montalcino. So we have to make a separate trip and go back and see that. This is a beautiful place where kind of some of the best wines of all of Italy come from. So
you bet. And I know you're really into the real estate realm. You sell a lot of pretty major estates. Have you ever been involved in an international transaction like this?
No, I haven't, but something to look forward to, Ian. I think maybe have to look. I'm not like the guys that get paid today when they play. They make these big multi-million-dollar contracts, and they can afford to go places like that, even own their own jet. But no, but it would be nice to go and just at least travel and vacation there. Spend time there. Now, do you speak the language, Ian, at all?
No, I barely speak English, to be quite honest.
Well, Ian, it would have been hard for you to find Montalcino when it was raining like that with no Google, because you couldn't even ask for help because they wouldn't know what you're talking about.
No, I when I work with the Italians when they come here, I start to pick it up a little bit, but I studied a little bit of French, a little bit of Spanish, a little bit of Greek. And so it's all kind of a mixture of really bad pronunciation. So it's just not my forte, but I love the language. I know if I lived there, I could pick it up, but I'm never there long enough to really absorb, and that's just a shame. But I will tell you this, that the wines of Montalcino are really, really targeted right now because, well, at least up until COVID, this wine was basically the most expensive wine in the world. For an average cost wine, this wine was north of $45, $46 a bottle average. And as from from a global investor standpoint, hedge funds figured out that this would be a really good acquisition target. And so a lot of the hedge funds started to go in and buy up the successful Montalcino brands because they had that high price point, and they knew that potentially over the long haul it would be a really good investment. So this part of the world has been under a kind of a real estate pressure for a while. Absolutely stunning real estate. And also on the Zoom tonight is my friend Michael. Michael, you out there, buddy? Michael Young, who has helped me with a number of different Zooms, represents one of the producers, and I'll let him talk about that producer when we get there.
Pictures.
Yeah, awesome shots. My team put these together, but definitely get the colors of the seasons.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
There you go.
There's our Sangiovese.
Grasso grapes.
Yeah, the really big, thick skins too. And the Argiano Estate is definitely one of the more beautiful properties architecturally. When we take our groups, we get some really amazing experiences, being able to taste down in the caves, probably with the winemaker or the owner, getting to taste a series of different wines from different vintages.
That's pretty.
Another one of the brands that we're tasting tonight is from Sasette Permentali. And this is just one of my favorite brands every single year. It gets really high ratings. Now, 2014 is the wine that we're going to be tasting from Sasette. This 14 is a little bit more, or let's say a little less regarded than 15 from the press standpoint. But I think people will agree that in the glass tonight, it's a superstar. 14, when handled by a really top producer, and this guy is an organic farmer of the highest quality, super hands-on, old school, makes beautiful wines every year, really a smaller producer of merit, and gets some really fantastic scores, but makes it the old-fashioned way, very old school. But another beautiful vineyard, the great old cellar, very traditional, passing it on from generation to generation. And then we have the 15 Brunello from Silvio Nardi. Tenuta Silvio Nardi. This is the 15 version in tonight's lineup, and this is that the look at the mountain or the hill of Montalcino. And that's the town we kept getting lost in as we kept driving through and making a series of turns trying to get out of there. But there's the Nardi estate. And now her family has a pretty interesting history. They've been in this region for a long time. And like much of Italy, the wines, were always made by the local farmers, and there certainly was some local expertise and some local grape varieties, but they weren't super organized. And this really came along in the late 60s, early 1970s, that they really started to structure the DOC, the DOCG, and create the rules for each of the regions. And the Nardi family was actually really involved in the production of wine and helped a lot of wineries with some technology. And in fact, they patented a lot of technology, farming technology, back in the early 1900s that some major farms used. And that's how they kind of made it through. And that's the current operator of Silvio Nardi. This is Silvio Nardi, Mrs. Nardi, and her father, Silvio Nardi. And she is in charge of the operation. And her father was a major influencer in the region of Montalcino. Here's our little tour through the old cellars underneath the home and out into the vineyards. And then Michael you're going to talk to us about Col d'Orcia.
All right. So, hi everyone. I'm Michael Young. I represent. I'm the importer for Col d'Orcia, and actually a very big fan of Col d'Orcia. I had a restaurant for a number of years in LA, and I had a huge collection of Col d'Orcia vintages going back to probably 1970, which by any means is young when we talk about Col d'Orcia. So the gentleman that you have in front of you is the Count Cinzano Marrone. His family is in the Bourbon family, a royal family. His cousin is actually the King of Spain, and his family has basically, in one way or another, held the estate since its original founding. The wing of the family bought the winery in the early 60s. Now, the winery was originally not called Col d'Orcia, even though it was one of the original 6 estates. It was basically called the winery of Sant'Antimo, which is kind of the patron saint of the area. And it was one property along with Il Poggione, 2 great estates that through marriages, they were separated into 2 separate estates. So Col d'Orcia, everything is done very classic. There is no barriques in any of the Brunello wines. Everything is done in the large Tonneau and botte, depending on whether it's the Reserva or the regular that you guys have in your glass. And the one thing I will say about Col d'Orcia, 2 things I will say. The wines are tremendously well aging. So you guys we all have in front of us the 2004, which is a baby by all standards. 04 was an amazing vintage, very similar in many ways to 16, that has the elegance. It was a dry vintage, but there's no reason this wine can't age for another 20 years. And then the other part about Col d'Orcia is sustainability. The Count has done amazing amount of research into clonal varieties to combat global warming and climate change. He's also invested a lot of money in terms of just sustainability for the farm, and understand that the farm is the largest organic farm in all of Tuscany. They grow tobacco. The cigar that he actually had in his mouth is their own cigars that they produce at the estate. And they're also one of the biggest producers of organic wheat in all of central Italy. So yeah, really fun wine.
Successful ranch. How big is this ranch?
Oh man, it's several. I'll have to look it up, but yeah, it's several hundred acres, and only about maybe 20% is under vine. Yeah, pretty nice.
Yeah, it is Col d'Orcia is a large producer, but with that said, you don't see a lot of wine on the market. They only release about anywhere from about 40 to 50% of each vintage into the market, and the rest is actually stored for either later release or for personal consumption.
Vince, is that you in the Bugatti?
Yeah, no, that's not me. I don't have an old car like that. That's pretty awesome. What year is that?
That is the Count.
What year?
That's got
the one behind it. That's like a 1940, isn't it? 1944.
Yeah, that looks like around 1940s. This is probably 1930s.
Yeah, probably.
It says 38.
So
does it say 38, Garrett?
Where do you see that? It says 51 there, and the license plate. Maybe that's a 51.
Where's 38? Oh, 38 or 33 on the right between the headlamps.
Oh yeah. Damn, your eyes are good.
Yeah, right there? That's a Veyron. That's a Veyron.
Man, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So also interesting, we're also tasting Argiano. Argiano was owned by Count Cinzano's sister, Noemia Cinzano Marrone. Yep. Well, and then she sold the estate a number of years, and she's very famous. She has an estate in Patagonia currently, that's very famous, called Bodega Noemia.
Very nice, very nice. All right, well, let's get into the glasses and see what you think. So one is the kind of the Super Rosso, and carries a price tag somewhere around $20. One is the 14 Sacette, and price tag, actually a pretty damn good price on that, just around $50 on the 14. Then the 15 carries a price tag somewhere in the 50s, and the 04 is in the 60s. Now you can smell them and you probably come up with a guess as to which one is the 04, because it's a little more evolved. I'd love to hear some comments about that and see which one you think it is. Which one do you think it is, guys? If you got a chat box, why don't you put your guess into the chat box? Which one is the 04? How are they treating you, Vince?
Let's see. 2 or 3 maybe. Ian?
I'm good. I'm wrong. I thought everybody would figure this out.
Wow.
But I will tell you that 04 is an outstanding vintage, and it is aging really gracefully, and made by an old school producer. It's kind of in the optimal realm of its life if you like wines that are advanced. It is an advanced wine, and it's got some, when you smell it, you're going to smell more of that, that character of the terroir. The fruit is less fresh, but what has evolved is complexity. We're getting some more guesses that are accurate. Tanya, thank you. It is wine number 4.
What's wine number 4?
Yeah, check that out. And man, I poured my wines when I poured these flights, and I hope your wines are holding up well. I hope everyone's enjoying them.
I'm muted now.
Is everyone's number 4 smelling good, tasting good?
Tasting great, Ian.
Fantastic. Because this is an 04, and I'm telling you, with a couple of hours, Michael, this wine gets even better in the glass. And
Col d'Orcia is one of the most difficult wines to handle when you're opening a bottle, because you can open the 04, and for the first 2 hours it's going to be tight and closed, and then it's going to give after a little bit. The one thing with the wines of Col d'Orcia is always opening it with a couple hours to let it breathe. It really helps.
Awesome. Okay. Well, then we'll look for the Argiano next. Which one do you think is the Argiano?
That's just the Rosso.
The Rosso with let's see what that cepage was again. I'm going to bring up that note one more time.
How about number 1, Ian?
All right. That's your guess. Everybody gets their guess in. It's a good guess, though.
Can't roll 10.
Cabernet Merlot Sangiovese is the blend.
Ian, did you ever hear the story of why it was called non confondateur?
Tell me.
So years ago, I think it was the 99 vintage, or was it earlier? I can't remember. But there was the great scandal in Brunello.
Okay.
Of producers sneaking in international varietals into the grapes.
I remember the story.
And Argiano was the poster child of getting caught for that. Yep. So the agricultural officials of Italy went up in the helicopter, and they looked down at the Argiano Estate, and they noticed that during the fall, the Sangiovese the leaves don't turn color. Merlot does, and they took pictures of what was the Argiano Estate, and there was large portions of the leaves that were orange, and they went back and they figured it out that they were sneaking in Merlot into their Brunello, and they were penalized. But Argiano put a good spin on it, and said, you know what, we're going to call it non confonditur. We're not.
I honestly had never heard that story. I remember the winemaker that was in trouble, Carlo Farini, but I did not know that about this wine. That's very, very, very cool. Thank you for telling me.
No, my pleasure.
I mean, this is wine number one, and most of you guys guessed it. But I really think it represents just a really fascinating, like fun little early drinker. This is a 17 vintage.
It just seemed to me to be the youngest wine there.
Yeah, for sure. And also the most fruit oriented.
Yeah, I think so too.
Let me see that.
But it's definitely got that Tuscan terroir kind of thing going on there in the mouth.
Most empty one.
Nice chewy tannins and good fruit complexity. All right, you're doing well. Now the tough one. Which one's the 14 and which one's the 15?
Wow, you know, I like number 2, and I got to figure out if that's the Silvio Nardi. How are we going to tell what the 14 or the 15 is?
That's right. That's right.
That's tough. You gave us a tough one, Ian.
So Vince, I got some kind of fanboy questions for you.
Yeah.
How are you feeling, man? You were a quarterback. You walk around pretty well. You're pretty mobile. A lot of guys that quarterback for years, they could barely walk.
Well, you know, Ian, I have to contribute a lot of, you know, maybe my health after the days of football was the offensive line I had playing in LA, because we had probably one of the best offensive lines that's ever assembled. I mean, they were all pro from left tackle to right tackle. On the right side was Jackie Slater, was a Hall of Famer out of Jackson State. He played with Walter Payton in college, and he came to the NFL, had a great work ethic, and he and Dennis Hara, the right guard out of West Virginia, went to University of Miami, another all-pro. These guys were just they were comedians, but they were tough as nails, and you just couldn't keep them out of the lineup. They'd play hurt, didn't matter. They just played every week, and they made it a point to really protect the quarterback. Rich Saul, who's passed away, was from Michigan State. He was tough as nails as well, all pro for many years. He had a brother, Ron Saul, who played for the Washington Redskins, and he was as good as you get, offensive center. Nobody ever came up the middle through it to get the quarterback. They got decapitated. Left guard was probably the fastest on the team, Kent Hill out of Georgia Tech. He was all pro for many years. If I threw an interception, I'd just say, Kent, get him, you know, and Kent would run him down, and he'd pull on sweeps. And I don't know if you remember the 1980 Super Bowl we played Pittsburgh. The play that really set the tempo for us on offense was we called it a 48F, and I handed the ball to Wendell Tyler, and Cullen Bryant sealed for Kent Hill, and Kent was pulling around left end, and we got outside, and Wendell made a cut, and then he broke back to the outside, and then Kent came rumbling up, and he was faster than Wendell, and he got right in front of him and led the charge. And I think he ran for about 35 yards. And after that play, that gave us a confidence that says, you know, we can beat these guys. You know, we can beat these guys. These guys, we got something going on. They can't stop. And so it just gave us the confidence. And then left tackle was a guy by the name of Doug France. He's passed on, but Bubba was from Ohio State. And, you know, that's your blind side for a right-handed quarterback. And he was as good as they get. So I just had the luxury of playing behind one of the great offensive lines. Now, yeah, sure enough, Pittsburgh Steelers were a tough team, and it was a lot of fun to play against them. But you know, we felt confident because nobody's better than us up front, and we gave them a fight. It was a fight to the finish. They actually ended up beating us by the point spread, if you can believe it. They beat us by 12 points, but it was a fun game. It was a fun game to play in.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so happy you're in good health and you're still a young guy. So it's great.
Getting up there.
You still play soccer.
Yeah, I don't play soccer. My daughters tell me I play soccer. That's the furthest from the truth. If I was in Italy, yeah, maybe, Michael. I mean, they love soccer in Italy, and well, it's a it's one of the best world sports there is, soccer. But here in America, we like football, and of course there's baseball, there's basketball, but football's was a good made a good career out of it. It's awesome. Lasted 10 years, Ian. That was long enough.
That's an amazing journey, and the highlight reels are many. I didn't want to create any copyright infringements. I do that a little bit with music sometimes, so I didn't want to do that with TV. They come after you a little bit faster, but the highlight reels are amazing, especially when they connect with my memories, and it's just so awesome.
Well, if you're a Rams fan, you'll be glad to know that SoFi's opening up this coming fall, so this will be great. It's a great venue, and the Rams just traded away a good quarterback. He's another Cal product that Jared was a good quarterback for the Rams, but they're getting Matt Stafford, who's I've always thought he was probably one of the better quarterbacks in the league, and he'll add a lot to the team and hopefully they'll win right away, because they got to win now. They don't have the draft picks to worry about getting players down the road. They gotta bank what they have and go for it all. So I think the Rams will be a pretty good team, but watch out for the Chargers too. The Chargers will be really good if you're an LA fan.
That's good to hear. But nobody has a stadium. It's that SoFi Stadium is so spectacular.
Yeah, there's not a bad seat in the house. Not a bad seat.
I got to take a hard hat tour of the stadium. One of my wine clients is a guy who did the sound system, and he took me on a little tour in there. So pretty cool spot. So you think the Matt Stafford trade was a good one?
Well, they gave up a lot for him. I mean, it's unfathomable that they gave up two number one draft picks, and a third draft pick. So, I mean, I guess if you can't draft him right, and at least you can trade for a guy is good. So, but Matt Stafford will produce. He's a really good quarterback. He can make every throw. He's tough. He's just been with the Detroit Lions for 11 years, So he comes to the Rams, I think, with him and Sean McVay. I think they'll figure it out. I think it'll be kind of fun to watch him.
Well, Rams,
he's going to be good.
Hope so, because that doesn't look very good on paper, that trade. I got all kinds of questions about it. But
yeah, they got hit with a salary cap. There's a lot of things going on there. But my daughter will be happy. Kara's a big Rams fan, and she's a big Robert Woods fan. So I said, well, watch out, because they got a quarterback that can throw it. He's good. So we'll see. We'll see.
Cool. Well, hopefully you guys have put your guesses down on which one's number 14, and maybe just guess the 14 out of the two of them. The two possible answers are number 2 or number 3.
So you got a 50-50 shot.
Yeah. I'll say that I'll go with the I'm going to say Silvio Nardi is the number 2. Tenuta di Silvio Nardi 2. So I'll say number 3 for the 14. Am I right or wrong?
I'm going to keep you in suspense for a moment longer.
I like the 2. 2
The
just
2 doesn't have a nose.
Oh, I love the nose.
But it's not so strong.
I love the 2.
Michael, I'm sorry you don't have number 2 and number 3 to compare to your beautiful number 4. But number 4.
Yeah, number 4 was beautiful too.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
The idea of drinking, a lot of people drink their Brunello very young like this, either 14 or 15. But to see how they do age very gracefully, especially when they're made by a producer like Cold Orcha. Some of the producers in today's Brunello marketplace that are making 100-point efforts are making them super ripe. and they do actually age quite well, but they're massive, rich and dense, and they really take on kind of a different personality. I think the comparison would be like Paso Robles versus Napa Valley, and so there's kind of a split in style. There's this more classic style and this very modern style, and I think all three of these kind of fall onto the classic side of the fence. So none of these are that extra extracted, extra ripe, but 15 as a vintage is a riper vintage. 14 is a little more restrained because it wasn't as warm. It wasn't as, it was actually a little cooler, a little more wet. And Michael, any other notes on 14 that you can share? Yeah, did you have a 14 to
Yeah, you know, 14 was, I really like drinking the 14. It was a vintage that, from the headlines, they were calling it a disaster, but it really wasn't a bad vintage. Most producers that I know, it actually turns out to be really, really good because most producers did not make a reserva. So all of the top fruit went into the base level wines. And that's always kind of a really good thing, but it was a very wet vintage.
Yeah.
Some producers had issues, and it was a low yield vintage. A lot of producers had some problems with the mold because of the wetness, but a lot of producers did a really good job manicuring the vines and cutting back fruit. So you can have some spectacular wines in that vintage.
Right. And then in a vintage like 15, which is highly lauded, they're going to maximize and make as much wine as they can. And they're probably going to divide out their best wine and put it into their super single vineyard or super reserva. They will get approximately double the price. And so, when you're comparing all these apples, they're pretty much apples to apples as far as, this is like their main productions for each of the brands. But number 2 is our 2014, the Sasette.
Ooh, it's the 14.
J-Mo, you said your Sasette bottle is corked. Is it a bottle?
Ooh. Sasette. It was number 2, Kara. I like
J-Mo.
I like 2 and 3. I like
Unmute.
Yeah, ours was corked.
It was a
Yeah.
bottle.
The bottle was
Got a
corked.
full bottle? Oh, bummer.
Yeah, ours was corked too, the 14. Yep, for sure.
Ooh, which one? Was it a bottle?
The 14 bottle, yeah.
04.
Wow. Where
The 04, the 04, sorry, the 04, yeah.
No, 04 was corked. Oh, that's a different story.
Yeah.
And you had a full bottle? Who was that, Kyle?
Yeah, that's me, Kyle, yeah. It was
Raisiny.
not good.
Well, being raisiny is one thing, but if it smells like a wet paper mache.
Wet dog, yeah, wet dog. It smelled like a wet dog to us, yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting, though.
Sorry about that.
That's wrong.
Anyone else have any thoughts on the 14 Sasette? Anyone without a corked bottle, that is?
The 14 was our favorite. That was amazing. I love that wine.
Terry, how's it treating you guys?
Yeah, Ian, it's delicious. There's still a lot of tannins. I'm sorry to hear that other people had a cork bottle because they're not experienced what we are. We have a bottle as well, but it's a lot of tannins on the back. I think this can sit still for a little bit.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, this is a fairly astringent in its youth here, but really balanced and it's like drinking a young Bordeaux. It's a fun taste, but maybe 5-6 more years before it hits its potential. There's something about that 10-year mark on wines like this that really is like the key number. But the Brunello producers can't hold them 10 years. They're already holding them 5. That's a long time to hold production. So they want you to buy and invest in the 14, 15, 16s are coming out fairly soon. But there's still a lot of 15 to sell because this marketplace and the whole US market didn't have restaurants selling the current vintages. a lot of retailers, a lot of people weren't shopping for $75 bottles. And in fact, a lot of the 15 wines were supposed to be selling in the $80, $90 a bottle market have been coming down in price because there's a lot of wine to sell. And so it's creating downward pressure on pricing. And I'm seeing a lot of those 15s that were supposed to be in the $70 plus club coming down into the 50s and pushing prices down, which is part of the marketplace right now. It's just a really challenging thing for high-end wines. If you're made $20 to $30 bottles of wine, you were probably killing it in the last year. Well, probably you made $40 bottles of wine and you were selling them for 30 and you were doing really well. That's what it was, because the magic price point was $29.99. But if you were making a $50 bottle, you couldn't sell it at $29.99 because your costs were probably, higher than that. So there's certain brands, certain price points that really worked out well. And it's a very interesting marketplace. So the number.
I really loved the Sassetti, and it was great. The 2014. I know it was a tougher year, but anytime I can put my nose in a wine and I get an aroma of tobacco or something like that, I mean, I can really appreciate the winemaker and how earthy it is. And, it's like that black cherry. I mean, I just think it's a beautiful wine. And at first glance, 2 was the one that stuck out to me. I like the Col Orcha as well, and the Silvio Nardi was good. I'm sorry for the people who got corked wine, but these were really good wines tonight. I really appreciate you.
We sent out some bottles to some folks. So we had a couple of bad bottles, but when I opened them and poured the tasting kits, thank God none of those were corked. And that's why I taste along with them too, to make sure that they're in good shape. But the Nardi, let's talk about that for a second, wine number 3, because I really like what's happening in the Nardi. I like the charm of number 2. The number 3's got a lot of baby fat and it's really bold right now, but I really like what's happening. And what it's telling me is that this wine's going to be amazing in about a decade. I mean, it's a really big wine.
Good. Very good too.
Very firm, man. That thing is unrelenting right now. It's like a battleship. It's like you're licking the side of a steel wall.
Yes, I was just gonna say it's like licking the side of a steel wall. Yeah, for sure.
You stole my line, Kyle. That's good. I'm glad you think so.
Way to go, Kyle.
Hey, on that note, can we talk about the foods a little bit? So we were having the poutine with some Italian sausage with some fennel, and the fennel in the Italian sausage really popped out on the 14, but not so much on the 15 Brunello. And so we're wondering,
we haven't been to Brunello de Montalcino. So what are the local foods like and these wines?
Right.
We happen to have an expert on the Zoom right here, Chef Michael Young.
Yeah, Michael.
So,
school us.
They the suggested pairing always is red meat and olive oil. So the whole thing is that you want the, obviously the red meat and the tannins that cut the fat of that, but the persistence kind of matches with the olive oil and tends to be a perfect pairing. So, if one was saying, what would you eat with a great bottle with Brunello, the Bistecca Fiorentina is always the mark of the perfect pairing with Brunello. That being said, that tends to be a somewhat simple dish. As you get aged wines, you want something a little bit more elegant, something more befitting, a fine dining restaurant. Yep, and there you go.
Have you seen this guy before, Michael?
Yeah, the butcher.
I love this guy.
See.
I love this guy.
Yeah, I got to take the group to his butcher shop, and we went in, and he's got the AC/DC blaring at full speed, and just cutting these massive cuts of meat. And we sat down in the private room, and he gave us a presentation talking about the fact that he as a kid, everybody would come in and order the filet mignon, but there were all these other cuts of meat being ignored, and his family wasn't rich or had a lot of money, so they were always eating the scraps. And grandma had these amazing recipes and everything tasted good. He didn't really feel like he missed anything. And then he was 16, his father gave him a filet mignon, and he was like, I don't get it. Why does everybody want this? The scraps are so much better. So
used to it.
That's awesome.
So it was a really fun day because we sat there for 4 hours eating meat and drinking Chianti out of big Magnum bottles, and just a really fun way. Here's what happens to you. You basically take a nap right on your plate by the time you're done.
I love it. I love that. That's fantastic.
Nice.
Well, I'm really thankful for everybody joining me for a night of Brunello de Montalcino with Vince Ferragamo. Does anybody have any questions for Vince? Is anybody looking to buy a significant Orange County pied-à-terre? Because Vince is now a real estate mogul down there, and he'll help you find your perfect place. You've got a website, Vince, that I sent everybody earlier. Any listings on there that you want to show off?
Well, they can always go to ferragamorealestate.com. That's our number one marketing tool that we use, along with all our social media that we use. And so we're pretty active right now. Interest rates are really low, and I think this is a great time to buy. It's just pretty much a seller's market, because every time you see a home that's up for sale, you see multiple offers on it. So it's difficult if you're working for the buyer. It's just but working with the sellers, you can help them along, and they can sell their home pretty quick. So, but yeah, just be Ferragamo Real Estate or Ferragamo Real Estate. That's our number one website for real estate. And if you're interested in our wines, it's VinceFerragamoVineyards.com. Thanks a lot, Ian, for plugging those two things. That's great.
We all have to make a living.
Yeah, what's the worst property in the best neighborhood, Vince?
That's right. You can always get the best buy, but you have more upside, that's for sure. Let's put it that way. Fixing it up. A lot of people are renovating stuff. I mean, I took a property that wasn't habitable, and I had 19 offers on it. So that just goes to show you what people want to do with real estate. It's crazy.
That's
Great.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Orange County.
Orange County, Riverside County, even in Palm Springs, people are migrating out to the suburbs. I mean, they're going everywhere. Real estate, I mean, with the way that the market is, and with, the people get uncomfortable with what's happening in the market, the stock market or whatever. And although it's made people a lot of money over the years, real estate typically over the years has probably been one of your most beneficial investments you could make, for the long term. And so people recognize it now, and they still want to buy. And, values keep going up, rents keep going up. It's the best investment to make. Yeah, real estate.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, I hope that any of our friends here tonight, if you ever get interested in getting some help from Vince, you reach out to him. If you are looking, trying to remember where to find him, you contact me, or you go to his website. If you look him up, he is always super cordial, and even though he's a legend in the world of football, he's still just a super nice guy. So Vince, I want to thank you for joining us tonight, and thank your daughter as well joining us.
Good job, Kara. Good job. All right. Michael, awesome. Thanks very much for your input. And your,
my pleasure. It's an honor.
We'll have to all go there sometime. How's that? That'll be fun.
I will hook it up. You guys get
All
the
right.
dates and I'll hook it up.
All righty.
Well, let me just tell you a couple of things that we've got coming up on Zoom into Wine. We've got our Stars of Napa Valley starting next week, nights 1 and 2 of our 4-night mega festival, because we've got 28 producers being shown off over the next 2 weeks, and no one night is better than the other. So check out the Stars of Napa. Next week, as we've got Passover coming, I'm going to do a little educational spot on Saturday about kosher wine, and throwing down a couple of really nice kosher wines in the process. On the 17th, one of my favorite winemakers on the planet right now is Matt Dees. He's we'll put a connection to the LA Rams. He used to work for the owner of the LA Rams.
Dan Kroenke.
Yeah, Stan Kroenke, who owns Screaming Eagle and a beautiful vineyard in Corton, Charlemagne. I'm not sure if his real estate or vineyard investments go outside of those two regions, but Matt makes wine for Honada, and he's a consultant on a few brands, and we're going to taste a couple of his projects, Mail Road and Kimsey. And Matt's going to be our host that night. So really, really fun tasting. This is the best Chardonnay, by the way, in Santa Barbara. Mail Road Chardonnay, forget about it. It's Carmel Mountain. It used to be made by Brewer Clifton. Now it's made by Matt Dees, and just spectacular vineyard designation. We're doing a thing on port. We're doing a thing on Mencia coming up. We're doing these things called virtual visits, and we got, this is kind of a small mini festival. We're going to do 3 winemakers, take us on a little tour of Santa Clara, and we're going to have Clodagh LaChance, Centauri, and Martin Ranch on the Zoom with us. The Zoom includes either a tasting kit or 3 bottles. It's a super good deal. You can get the full bottle kit for $110, or you can do the tasting kit for $50, and we have a 2 tasting kit for $59. So we're trying to get everybody involved in this particular project of ours. It's a really kind of a small, lesser known wine region in California, but really good wines, really great people, greatest people ever. And you're going to love our night that we've got pulled together there. And we're going to do a couple of them. We're going to go to Paso, and we're going to take like a pretend vacation, basically. We're going to be driving in my car, and we're going to show the drive right into the winery. And we're going to go visit Thacker with a winemaker at Thacker. We're going to go to Law Estate, and we're going to end up at Hammer Sky for a little vampire. It's kind of a port style bourbon barrel production that they're doing up there. So some fun stuff at Zoom into Wine. And hope you guys will check it out. The events will keep proctoring new events and new ideas, and every month it's fun for us to invent new things. And Vince, I want to thank you for letting us pull this together tonight.
Thanks so much, Ian, and thanks to your faithful people that are watching, and just thanks for tuning in tonight. It was fun. The great wines we tasted, and very knowledgeable exercise. It was like going to school and going back to sommelier class. So it was a lot of fun. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you, Vince. Thank you very much.
Happy New Year, guys. Have a good one. Go
Good
Rams.
night, everybody.
Go
Yeah,
Rams.
go Rams.
Yeah, go Rams.
Thanks, Ian.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.